Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the topic of what can happen when you allow your domain name to expire. And, folks, it is not good, like, not good at all when that happens. But first, I want to thank our friends at RepairPal for sponsoring this episode. RepairPal is the key that unlocks more business for your auto repair shop. You can find out more at repairpal.com/shops. All right. So, man, I've got a client right now that they allowed their domain name to expire. It's a client I've been working with for a long time. They're not even an auto repair shop. This was, one of our clients from back before we specialized, and we still have a handful of them that we continue to work with. And their domain name expired, and we warned them, like, we let them know that this was going to happen, and they still let the thing expire. And your domain name, it's got to be renewed periodically. When you renew it, you can renew it for a year, you can renew it for 2 or 3 or 5 or even 10 years. And but it has to, like, you have to renew it, because when you don't, your website goes down, and then you're like, well, why is my website down? But unfortunately, your website going down is like the least of your problems. So when your domain expires, there's multiple issues at play here that can make a seemingly simple thing turn into an absolute disaster. And the first of those things is that there are people out there that this is what they do. They look for recently expired domain names and they buy them. And they buy them not because they want to use them, they buy them for the sole purpose of selling them back to the original owner at a very high price. So, when a domain name expires, it takes a couple of days for the domain to show up on the expired domains list. So, normally, you'll notice that your website is down before the domain has got on this expired domains list. And you can go to the Google and you can search for expired domain list, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's websites that list all of the recently expired domain names, and you can go purchase them. The problem is once it does hit that expired domains list, which only takes a couple of days, but you can just about count on it that someone is going to buy that domain name. And these people, they may or may not reach out to you to try to sell it back to you. Most of them are not going to reach out to you. They will wait for you to come crawling to them, because you will. Typically, the business owner who has lost their domain name, they'll contact the domain registrar, and they're fighting mad when they do it because the domain registrar allowed their domain to be bought, but they're the idiot that didn't renew the thing. And excuse my, it drives me nuts. Okay, it drives me nuts. And look, it can happen to anybody. I can't remember who it was. There was some very large, like a Fortune 100 company that allowed this to happen. And when it did, it was like, how in the world do you allow this to happen? So it happens. We all make mistakes. We make mistakes. But when somebody warns you, this is about to happen. And look, it's not just me warning somebody. Your domain registrar, they will email you to tell you that this is about to happen. But anyway, people, the person who lost their domain name, they'll contact the domain registrar, and the domain registrar is like, hey, somebody bought it. There's nothing that we can do about it. But they will often help you to buy it back, or they may give you some direction on how to do that. So the new owners of what used to be your domain name, they'll usually start really high with a price. They'll ask anything from, I've seen, $20,000 to $50,000. Not being unusual for a small business domain. And the larger the company, the more, or the more highly desirable the domain name, the more that they will ask for it. And in my client's case, fortunately, they have a pretty undesirable domain name. It's very, very specific to them. It's got a hyphen in it. It's a .net. It's not a desirable domain name at all. It's only worth anything to them. And this just happened, and they still haven't taken any action on it, which blows my mind. We went just to get their website back up. We went and bought another domain name and put it on the website so that the website would continue to work. But hopefully in the end they'll be able to buy this domain name back for a couple $1,000s. And the negotiations, they might take time though, and that is killing their SEO every single day. The direct costs that are involved in purchasing your domain name, back from some predator like this. Um, it's obviously the money that you spend to pay them to get your domain name back. And then it's, paying your IT person or your marketing company to go make everything work again because, nothing works anymore. You got to get that domain name transferred. You got to get DNS set back up and all that stuff. And it's time consuming to do that. And then the indirect costs that are involved in purchasing back the domain and, or I'm sorry, the indirect costs come from the lost business when you don't have a working website, and especially in the losses of ranking in your SEO. Because what people don't understand, they think that the SEO has everything to do with their website. But what it really has everything to do with is the domain name. You can take a website that's been in existence for 10 years that has great SEO and change the domain name on it, and it is like starting over on day one with a brand new website, with a brand new company that has never had any kind of web presence. So the indirect cost of this can be massive, like massive amounts of money that are lost business. And then, the person will get mad at the marketing company because their SEO takes a dive. And it's like the SEO has been working great, but you just started over from day one. So the main thing is to never ever let your domain name expire. And I want to give you some tips to help you keep from ever losing your domain name. All right. So, first thing is go log into your domain registrar right now. Okay. I mean, like as soon as this podcast is done, I want you to go log into your domain registrar. And if you're like a lot of people, you don't even remember who it is. It could be GoDaddy, it could be register.com, it could be Namecheap, it could be Fat Cow, it could be all kinds of different domain registrars. Most people register through GoDaddy. We probably have 90% of our clients, are probably registered through GoDaddy. But if you don't remember who it is, you can go to whois.com, type in your domain name, and it'll tell you where it's registered. And it's important because like when we build new websites for people, they will often not remember where it is or what the login information is or anything like that, and that's information that you need to keep like available. You need to know who your domain registrar is. You need to know uh, what the login information is for that domain registrar so that you can get into it quickly if you need to. But log in. And the first thing I want you to do is to make sure that the email address that they have for you is still a working email, because they will email you to let you know when your domain is coming up for renewal. All right, so next, make sure that the domain is set to auto renew and that the credit card that's on file is still a good credit card and it is set as the primary payment method so that when it comes time for it to renew, it can just automatically renew. Now, what I really recommend doing is for you to go to manually renew that domain name and renew it for the longest amount of time that you possibly can, which is probably going to be 10 years. The problem with renewing it for 10 years is that when it comes up for renewal, you're more likely to not remember who your domain registrar is. You're more likely that your email address has changed. You are more likely that the credit card that's on file, I mean, you can guarantee that if you hadn't logged in there in 10 years and updated your credit card information, your credit card is no longer valid. So, what I want you to do is go to your calendar and I want you to set up an appointment with yourself every year to log in and go check everything. And like when your credit card that's on file is expired, put a new credit card in there and make sure that it's set as the primary payment method. So these are the things that you can do to help keep you from losing your domain name. Because I'm telling you, this is one of those things that when it happens, it is a bad, bad day. You just cost yourself. I mean, if you're an established auto repair shop, you've literally probably cost yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars in business that you will not get just due to the lost rankings of your website, due to all of the marketing materials that you have out there that have a link going to a website that's not like it doesn't go to your website anymore. And if you have to replace it with a new domain, because look, there are some of these people out there, they'll be like, I want $50,000 for it, and they won't take a penny less. And if that's the case, you're probably not going to buy it back. You might. I don't know. But anyway, it's not a fun discussion to have. It's frustrating when it happens. You can probably hear the frustration in my voice. And look, this is not something that just happened. This happened a while back. Uh, but like I'm still frustrated about it because it's something that is so easy to keep it from happening. And you do get warnings through email and through people like us that say, hey, Mr. Client, your domain name's about to expire. So anyway, I want to thank our sponsors, RepairPal, for sponsoring this episode. They really do make it so much easier for us to do this. And go check them out. When we had our shop, we were a RepairPal shop, and it was a great source of new business for us. Also, go check out aftermarketradionetwork.com. We're just one of the podcasts that are on the Aftermarket Radio Network, and there's some really great podcasts that are putting out really great information every single week. So go check that out, aftermarketradionetwork.com. I hope that you'll listen in again next week, and until then, go fill those bays.